Picture this. You are a woman, a Gaulish woman. Your husband is a warrior trapped inside the fortress of Alesia. You have been pushed out, exiled, because there is no more food. You walk toward the Roman lines with your children, begging for mercy. The Romans do nothing. They stand on their wall and watch you. Behind you, your husband screams from the fortress walls, begging the Romans to take you as slaves, to do anything but this. The Romans do nothing. You are in the middle, no man's land. Days pass. Your children stop crying. Then they stop moving. You are dying in the space between two armies, and neither will let you leave. This isn't a war crime from the modern era. This is 52 BC, and the man who designed this hell is the same man we celebrate as one of history's greatest generals, Julius Caesar. Before we go further into one of the most brutal and brilliant sieges in military history, if you're drawn to the darker, more strategic side of ancient warfare, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from. It's surreal to think we're dissecting Roman tactics together from across the globe. Let's rewind. For months, Vercingetorix, chieftain of the Arverni, the man who united the Gallic tribes against Rome, has been bleeding Caesar, scorched earth, hit and run, avoiding pitched battles. It's working. Caesar's legions are hungry, exhausted, and far from home. Vercingetorix is winning the war of attrition. Then he makes a choice that will haunt him forever. He retreats to Alesia, a fortified hilltop town in what is now Burgundy, France. His reasoning is sound. The hill is steep, the walls are strong, and he has 80,000 warriors inside. He knows a massive relief army, every Gallic tribe that can still fight, is mustering. 250,000 men heading his way. All he has to do is hold the fortress until they arrive. Then Caesar will be crushed between two armies. Caesar sees the same picture, and he decides to do something insane. He decides to build a wall around the entire hill. Not a blockade, not a siege camp. A fortification system so vast, so elaborate, that it would require his 60,000 legionaries to construct 25 miles of walls, ditches, towers, traps, and killing fields in a matter of weeks. All while being watched by 80,000 Gauls who could storm out at any moment. And then, because one wall isn't ambitious enough, he builds a second wall facing the opposite direction. Because that relief army is coming. Let's talk geometry. Caesar's engineering solution to Alesia is called circumvallation and contravallation. Inner wall, outer wall, a Roman donut with Caesar's army as the filling. The inner wall, the circumvallation, faces Alesia. Its job is to keep Vercingetorix trapped inside. The outer wall, the contravallation, faces outward. Its job is to stop the relief army from breaking through. Caesar and his 60,000 men sit in the space between, surrounded on both sides by enemies that outnumber them more than 5-1. Now imagine building this under pressure. You're a Roman legionary. You've been marching for months. You're hungry. The Gauls on the hill are screaming insults at you. Your centurion is screaming orders. You dig a trench 15 feet wide and 15 feet deep. You pile the excavated dirt into a rampart behind it. You sharpen stakes and plant them on top. Then you dig another trench in front of the first one, this time filling it with water diverted from nearby streams. Then you dig pits, thousands of them, each one concealing a sharpened stake at the bottom, covered with brush to look like solid ground. The Romans call them lilia, lilies, because from above, the pits bloom across the field in rows. You build wooden towers every 80 feet along the wall. You construct catapults and ballistas. You do this twice, once facing in, once facing out. You do it in less than a month. This isn't just fortification, it's a statement. Caesar is telling both armies, I'm not leaving, I'm not running. I will starve you, outlast you, and kill anyone who tries to cross these walls. And the cruelest part? It works. Vercingetorix realizes the trap too late. He's inside Alesia with 80,000 warriors and tens of thousands of civilians. The grain stores were meant to last until the relief army arrived, but Caesar's walls are cutting off resupply. The food runs out faster than expected. Vercingetorix makes a decision that shows just how desperate things have become. He expels the women, children, and elderly from the fortress. He sends them toward the Roman lines, hoping Caesar will either let them through, reducing the number of mouths inside Alesia, or take them as slaves. Either way, it saves food for his warriors. Caesar does neither. He orders his men to hold position. The civilians reach the Roman wall and beg. They plead for food, for mercy, for passage through the lines. The legionaries stand silent. Days pass. The civilians camp in the no-man's land between the walls, exposed to the elements. They have no food, no water source, no shelter. The men inside Alesia watch from the fortress walls. They scream at the Romans. They scream at Caesar. Some beg him to take their families as slaves. Anything but this. Caesar doesn't blink. The civilians begin to die. First the children, then the elderly, then the women. Their bodies stay where they fall, rotting in the open ground between two armies. Vercingetorix can see them, his men can see them, and there is nothing they can do. It's a psychological weapon as much as a physical one. Caesar is showing Vercingetorix that there is no mercy here, no negotiation, surrender or starve. But before surrender becomes an option, the relief army arrives. You are a Roman sentry on the outer wall. It's early morning. You see movement on the horizon, then more movement. Then the horizon itself seems to shift. It's not an army, it's a migration. A flood of humanity stretching as far as you can see. 250,000 Gauls. Every tribe, every warrior who can still lift a weapon. They've come to break the siege, to crush Caesar, to drive Rome out of Gaul forever. They set up camp just outside Roman range, and their fires stretch for miles. Caesar's legionaries are now caught between two forces that collectively outnumber them 6-1. The Gauls inside Alesia have 80,000 fighters. The Gauls outside have 250,000. Caesar has 60,000, and half of them are spread thin, manning 25 miles of walls. The math is suffocating. The Gauls know it. Vercingetorix knows it. And the relief army's plan is brutally simple. Attack both walls simultaneously. Force Caesar to divide his forces even further. Break through, link up with Vercingetorix, and annihilate the Romans in the middle. The assault begins at dawn. The outer wall explodes with violence. The Gallic relief army charges en masse, a roaring tide of shields and iron. They carry bundles of sticks to fill in the ditches. They throw planks over the water-filled trenches. They storm forward, and the first ranks hit the lilia, the covered pits, and vanish into the earth, impaled on stakes. The men behind them don't stop. They use the bodies as bridges. Roman artillery rips into the Gauls. Ballista bolts punch through 3 men at a time. Catapults hurl stones that shatter bones and skulls. Legionaries on the walls throw pilot javelins in waves, each one designed to bend on impact so shields become useless deadweight. The Gauls keep coming. At the same time, Vercingetorix launches his own assault from inside Alesia. 80,000 warriors pour down the hill toward the inner wall. Now Caesar's men are fighting on 2 fronts. The walls hold, but barely. Legionaries sprint from one side to the other, plugging gaps, reinforcing weak points. Centurions bellow orders. The sound is deafening. Metal on metal, screams, the grinding of shields locking into formation. For hours, the Romans hold. But there's a problem. Manpower. Caesar doesn't have enough men to defend 25 miles of wall on 2 sides simultaneously. He has to gamble. He has to guess where the Gauls will concentrate their next attack and shift his reserves accordingly. If he guesses wrong, the line breaks. And if the line breaks, it's over. The Gauls know this, and they've been scouting. There's a section of the Roman wall on the northern side where the terrain didn't allow for a full fortification. The ditches are shallower, the walls are lower. It's a weakness, and the Gauls have found it. On the 3rd day of battle, the relief army masses for a concentrated assault on that exact spot. At the same time, Vercingetorix leads a breakout from Alesia, hitting the inner wall with everything he has. It's the ultimate pincer. If either breakthrough succeeds, Caesar is finished. The northern wall begins to crack. Gauls pour over the ramparts. Roman cohorts buckle under the pressure. Centurions fall. The line fragments. For the first time in the entire siege, Roman legionaries begin to retreat. Caesar is at his headquarters when the news arrives. The northern wall is collapsing. If it falls, the Gauls will flood through, link up, and encircle the Roman center. He has minutes to decide. He does something no general is supposed to do. He grabs his red cloak, his commander's cloak, visible from half a mile away, and rides directly into the collapsing line. Imagine you're a Roman legionary. You're exhausted. Your arms are numb. You've been fighting for 3 days with no sleep. The man next to you just took a spear through the neck. The Gauls are breaking through. You're thinking about running. Then you see red, Caesar's cloak. He's riding toward you, not away, toward. He's shouting, rallying, pointing his sword at the gap in the line. He's not commanding from a distance. He's here, in the blood and the mud and the chaos. It changes everything. The legionaries stop retreating. They turn. They lock shields. Caesar's presence is a psychological weapon more powerful than any ballista. If the general is willing to die here, so are they. The line holds. Reinforcements arrive. The Gauls are pushed back, step by step, body by body. The northern wall holds. At the same time, the inner wall repels Vercingetorix's assault. The Gauls inside Alesia are driven back up the hill, leaving hundreds of dead in the ditches. The relief army sees their breakthrough fail. They see Caesar's red cloak still moving along the walls. They see the Roman lines reform, and something breaks inside them. The Gallic relief army doesn't retreat. It disintegrates. 250,000 men came to Alesia, united by hope and desperation. But hope is gone now. They've thrown everything at the Roman walls and been bled dry. Tribal leaders begin pulling their warriors out, first a few hundred, then thousands, then entire tribes. There's no coordination, no strategy, just a slow hemorrhage of bodies streaming away from the battlefield. Vercingetorix watches from the walls of Alesia. He sees the relief army melt into the horizon. He knows what it means. There will be no rescue, no reinforcements, no miracle. He has 80,000 warriors inside the fortress, but they're starving. The corpses of their families still rot in the no man's land below. They've been broken psychologically as much as physically. The next day, Vercingetorix makes his final decision. He surrenders. There's an account from Roman historians. Take it with skepticism, but the image is seared into history. That Vercingetorix rode out of Alesia alone. He wore his finest armor. His horse was decorated for ceremony. He rode slowly through the Roman lines, past the walls he couldn't break, past the ditches filled with his people's dead. He rode directly to Caesar's command tent. He dismounted, removed his sword, and laid it at Caesar's feet. Then he sat on the ground in front of the man who had destroyed him. Caesar said nothing. He had Vercingetorix chained and taken away. For the next 6 years, Vercingetorix would be held in a Roman prison. He would be paraded through the streets of Rome during Caesar's triumph, displayed as the conquered barbarian. Then, in 46 BC, he would be ritually strangled in the Tullianum, Rome's execution dungeon, as part of the victory celebration. But at Alesia, as he laid down his sword, Vercingetorix became something more than a defeated chieftain. He became the symbol of Gallic resistance, the man who almost beat Rome, the last free king of a people who would never be free again. After the siege, Caesar's men dismantled the walls. The wood rotted, the ditches filled in. For centuries, no one was quite sure where Alesia actually was. Historians debated. Some claimed it was myth. Then archaeologists started digging. They found the ditches, the pits, the foundations of the towers. They found arrowheads, ballista bolts, and Gallic weapons embedded in the earth. They traced the full circuit of Caesar's walls, 25 miles, exactly as he described. They found the bones. Alesia was real. The donut of death was real. The civilians trapped between the walls were real, and so was the man who built it. Caesar is remembered as a military genius, a political visionary, the man who crossed the Rubicon and changed Rome forever. But Alesia shows you something else. It shows you what total war looks like when a brilliant mind decides that victory matters more than mercy. Caesar didn't just defeat Vercingetorix at Alesia. He broke him. He broke the Gallic tribes. He engineered a scenario where starvation, despair, and psychological torture did as much damage as swords. The civilians who died between the walls weren't soldiers. They were leverage. Caesar knew Vercingetorix would see them, hear them, watch them die, and he knew it would rot the Gauls from the inside. It worked. But here's the thing. We still study Alesia in military academies. We still admire the engineering. We still call Caesar a genius, and maybe he was. But genius doesn't mean good. It just means effective. So here's the question I'll leave you with. When we celebrate strategic brilliance, are we celebrating the tactic or the cost? Because at Alesia, both are inseparable. If you've made it this far, you're clearly someone who doesn't just want the sanitized version of history. You want the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. There are a lot more forgotten stories like this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next chapter.